got to do it now. Like, you got to do it now, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you got to start, like, you know, like, and I tell people, like, let's say filmmaking, you know, like, you have an LLC and you're a filmmaker, but, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, like, I shot that with no budget. I'm like, no, you spent like $200,000. Even if you didn't pay those people, that's the receipt of like the hours that they work.
Right.
The location that you got for free is probably $5,000, just for example. You gotta like always have receipts, because during tax season, what you do is rewrite it off.
Yeah.
You know, I'm telling you, like, you know, like, and I'm like, people have to catch up in it, and a lot of people are catching up to that.
Now, huh? Because like taxes and stuff like that's something.
Taxes is how you really get back a lot.
Exactly.
You know, as an LLC, like, you know, my LLC, you know, I just named it Clark Monroe LLC, like just my name, you know, because I want to eventually, like, you know, get the trademark for my name.
Mm-hmm.
So I started off, you know, I started off as LLC. So it says that if you want to trademark something, start something off like with an LLC. That way, nobody, it's like you're more legit, you know. Because anybody could just be DBA. Like the DBA is like
doing business
as, you know, whatever. And the thing too with LLC is you're protected. Your assets are protected because
by a corporation.
Because let's say you have your personal debt collectors coming after you.
Right.
You're like, I'm broke. You know, you could be like, I'm broke. I
Like,
really don't have that.
LLC got the money.
You're not lying. You know, like you're putting all of your paycheck into your LLC bank account.
Right.
So they cannot garnish that. It's it's untouchable, you know, because it's
that's a little
LLC.
game right there.
Yeah, you know, and I started like picking up on how, you know, how when these wealthy people are like, oh, I'm broke, I filed for bankruptcy, but you're still worth 10 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm broke. Like, you know, but you know, they're not lying. They are broke. The business is not.
Right. But me personally, I'm broke. But my business, 10 million.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, and so it's just a game, bro. Like, and that's why I started my LLC. I'm like, I'm protecting my assets, you know, like from anything. You never know who could come after you.
Exactly.
It's better to be like, you know, I don't have nothing.
I ain't got nothing, but my business, that's a whole
and like
different
I have
story.
a friend
and
who
can't
got
come after that.
who got an apartment under their business. You know, he can't fucking get an apartment from anything, you know, because of his, you know, personal finances. But his business money is like, you know, up there.
Right.
You know,
they give you those American Express cards and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they start giving it to you too once you start putting money into your business account.
Right. I heard that you put like 500,
you know, and I had this conversation with my friend, like, you know, like why not put your paycheck from your, you know, your day job into your business account and count that as income.
Exactly.
You're gonna pay taxes, but you pay taxes for everything anyway.
Exactly.
You know, if you pay taxes on that income, at least you're gonna get a return which is higher. You know, because what you're gonna get a regular, because now you have your write-offs. Like my office space is my apartment. I'm writing my rent off. That's rent money. You know, that you're writing off every.
See, and that's good. Season. That's dope right there.
You know, and for food, they give you up to 50, I think in California, up to 50% of food expense. So let's say for the year you spent like 10K just cafe. It's meeting. I'm having a meeting at a cafe, you know, at a restaurant. They don't need to know anything. Like, you know,
and they don't even ask.
Cocktails, no, like, you know, like, oh, well, cocktail receipt. Well, it's a meeting, you know.
And they want the receipt though.
Yeah, you know, like
so you keep all them receipts.
You got to keep all the receipts when you file your taxes.
Yeah.
But what happens is when
you keep your receipts, you keep them in a big ass
I just
file.
I keep. So what I do personally is, let's say for April, like I have all my receipts. I put it in an envelope, like just a regular white envelope. I put April receipts.
Exactly.
You know, so it's like April receipts, May. You know, so it's like, you know, the months.
You're accounting for everything.
You're accounting for everything, and you start building your business credit. Like once you open up your business checking, like start off with a secured card. You know, next thing you know, you have like all these
EIN number.
Yeah, like, you know, the EIN number. Now, some companies, you know, will ask for your social still, because especially when you don't have, you know, any worth yet when you're starting. That's why it's good to, like, when you start a, you know, like your business account, like to have like a secured credit card for the business.
And I heard once you even start a business account, they're not even checking your credit.
They don't. No.
That's like, they'll give you the top credit card.
They'll give you the top
because you have that business.
Because you have that business, yeah.
And they probably more so even looking for you to fuck off all that money so that you're gonna have to pay it
so
back.
that you're gonna have to pay them back.
Because most people who are gonna get a business account,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, "Oh well, this for the business,
careless, yeah.
and I can't pay it back now because I didn't make no money on the business."
You didn't make no money on the business, you know.
Mhm.
And it's so crazy because I have a friend who just got. I mean, his personal account, like he will never get an American Express, bro.
Mhm.
Like, and I'm just being honest,
Right.
you know. Now he got like that, you know, business American Express,
Right.
you know, whatever, like that blue one, you know. But it's for the business,
Right.
you know, and then they give you a line of credit like 100K, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, yeah, you're gonna account for that, you know, but just gotta pay it back.
Exactly.
You know,
You can't get stupid with it and just run out the money.
Yeah, exactly. Don't go out getting Louis Vuitton and all this bullshit. You know,
And
like,
especially if you're not doing that already, it's like,
Yeah.
why even start doing all that shit
Yeah.
now? And
you know, I
understand.
mean, just use it for emergency. You know, like let's say you travel, just an
Mhm.
example. You know, it's because travel is considered business, so business travel.
Right.
Write it off. You know, then you get that, write it off your taxes, and you know you also pay your card. 'Cause I'm sure you're not really spending a lot on travel for the weekend.
And on the card, is it because I have seen some podcasts and they were saying when you have that American Express, it's $600 a month.
A
So-
month?
No, so that's not
It's
that.
that they have an annual. They give them.
Oh, okay.
The thing with American Express too is you just have to pay it in full every month.
Mhm.
That's why it's
So whatever
careless
you
for-
spent that month,
yeah, you have to.
you're
pay
gonna
it.
have to pay that back.
Yeah, we just have because you know, and I that's the reason why I think they cater to a lot of like you know people with earnings that's you know up there because they know that they can afford to pay them. You
Mhm.
know, but that's the point I'm making. Like, if you know personally you're not making that and you get an American Express because of your business, then why are you spending all that if you can't pay it back?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, is your business really generating that money?
Right.
You know, and so it's good to have, but in my opinion, personally, what I would do is just spend it on emergency stuff.
Mhm.
You know, maybe gas. you
Until
know.
your money, till your business is actually starting to create
Yeah.
income that you
and
can.
yeah, until you can.
pay that
That's the
back.
reason why I'm getting into government contracting because,
Mhm.
in my opinion, that's the easiest way to build
Make some money.
make some money.
Right.
Government contracting.
Definitely.
You know,
And we already got so deep into this episode. I have to now start the intro. Welcome to another episode of the Big Umbrella Podcast. That's Big with 2 G's. I'm going to repeat that. That's Big with 2 G's, the Big Umbrella Podcast. And I want to welcome on Clark Monroe. Actually, Clark Kent, the Superman, Clark Monroe, his damn self right here, man. What's going on?
man, what's up, bro? Man, I appreciate you for having me.
No problem at all. We was already starting off a whole business conversation, so we're going to definitely hop back into that. But just even starting off for those who don't know who you are,
Yeah.
what part of, where are you actually from? Because I believe the Philippines.
Yes, I'm originally from the Philippines, moved out here to the United States in 2006, joined the Navy, and I got out, stayed out here in San Diego, and now I'm a filmmaker.
Mhm. And how was the Navy experience for you?
The Navy.
And how long was you in
experience,
there?
I was in the Navy for 8 years.
Okay.
So Navy for 8 years. It was interesting. You know, I'm grateful for the time that I served in the military. So my background is, you know, my dad was also in the Navy. So
Mhm.
he met my mother in the Philippines. So I'm Black and Filipino. Mom's Filipina. My dad is Black from
Mhm.
Cincinnati, and you know, my dad decided to stay out there and didn't want to come back.
In Cincinnati.
He didn't want to go back to Cincinnati. He decided to stay out in the Philippines.
Oh,
you know,
damn.
yeah. You know, so my parents still live out there right now. He retired from the military and decided to live out there.
Mhm.
You know, so right now still out there with my mom's. And you know, my mom is coming out here though, like, you know, just to visit. You
Right.
know, they're now in their like 60s and 70s, so
Yeah.
they're up there. They just want to enjoy life,
Right.
You know, but going back to your question, you know, with the military, the Navy experience for me, it was very interesting, but it was also very, I would say very, like eye opening. You know, it kind of like,
And when you say interesting, like in what aspect to you saying like interesting?
it was interesting because of the experiences.
Were they good or they bad experiences for you?
It's a mixture.
Uh-huh.
I would say it depends on like I would say on the duty that I was doing. The bad experience for me was when I was sent to Afghanistan in 2011.
Mm.
Like I'm talking about, I get flashbacks.
Like you and you had this is like you on front lines.
Yeah, well, I was not. I was supporting. I was on base, so I was a cook
Mhm.
when I was in the Navy, and when I was sent to Afghanistan, so I
Mhm.
was attached to a FOB, so it was, you know, a tiny like forward operating base we were under the Kandahar Air Base. So it was a mother base was Kandahar. So we were out in the mountains, of this place called Tarankout, TK. We called it TK. So Tarankout.
And you was living like in the mountains.
We were living out there. Like we had a barracks, but every day, we had like rocket attacks.
What the hell?
Like I'm talking about like every day, bro. Like, rocket attacks, you had to, run for cover every day. Like
how the hell did you survive rocket attacks every day?
Bro, like, I mean, they would just, you never know who or what is going to hit.
It was never close enough.
Yeah, like it was like, it could hit anywhere. Like, and I think that's why I said like it was interesting because, like you go out there, you don't know if you're going to come back.
100%.
I think the traumatizing part for me was seeing somebody during breakfast, because, as a cook, we interact with a lot of people. Seeing somebody for breakfast, then next, lunchtime came, hey, yo, so-and-so died.
Right.
I
just saw him this morning.
Yeah, I just saw him this morning, like, woo, the experience. And it was crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that was what triggered me to, I made up my mind, like, I'm just going to do one more enlistment and, try to move to Cali.
And is an enlistment 4 years?
Yeah, 4.
Okay.
So I did 8. So I did 8. After my tour in Afghanistan, I did 3 more years. I did that because I was going to move to Cali. I already had it planned out.
It was like I'm trying to stack up as much as I can.
And then moved to Cali. And I already knew that I wanted to be a filmmaker. No, at the time, like I wanted to be an actor.
Right.
I was like, let me just move to Cali. At the time, I was living in Virginia. So I got sent out here. I did my time out here. I was on the ship for a year. Then deuces, I was
right. It was like I'm done after this.
I'm done, because the thing is, you never know what could go on in the military,
Man,
I'm always.
And that was you as a cook.
Yeah,
you had to worry about. You're not even out there like shooting and stuff like that.
The crazy thing is, we had even as a cook, I was armed with a 45 and an M16.
Oh,
like
damn.
You had to. So before we even got sent out there, they sent us to New Jersey, to do our training.
Yeah.
It's like combat training with the Army. And, you could not get sent out to Afghanistan unless you pass as a sharpshooter.
Oh, damn. So you was on point.
At the time, I struggled. I was like, man, like I'm a cook. Like I've never had to do all this, but it is what it is. But it changed my life for the better, though.
Right.
I would say like getting sent out to Afghanistan is when I started becoming like a fitness fanatic. In 2013, 2012 to 2014, I competed for bodybuilding, for physique. So I got into fitness while I was out there because I was attached to a SEAL team base. So all the SEALs did was work out. And so, as a cook at the time, I was a night cook. So I worked at night and in the daytime I would work out. I get off at 6 a.m. and work out. And then at nighttime when everybody else is asleep,
you working.
When you're not working, go to the gym.
Right.
You just work out.
So it's like I'm working or I'm working out.
Working or working out, man.
Yeah.
It was an experience. Being out there was an experience for me. I'm always going to be grateful for having served. It's something that I'm proud of.
And your dad did it.
And my dad did it, and my brothers did it. So actually, 5, myself and 4 siblings joined the military. But right now, only 2 are in the military. My 2 sisters, they're twins.
So everybody, like all your siblings went to the military.
All of us went to the military. My brother just recently retired. He did his time, retired. Now he owns his own HR company. So he has an HR staffing company.
And you in HR.
And I'm in HR for my day job.
That's crazy.
And I actually don't know how I ended up in HR.
Yeah.
Like my degree's in business. So I'm grateful for, the opportunity that my first HR job, as an HR assistant for a senior living facility here in San Diego, St. Paul's, they gave me my first opportunity. And then just recently I got another opportunity to become a healthcare recruiter. And so a junior recruiter, for healthcare. So right now my job is to staff or help staff like hospitals, like, with workers, healthcare workers.
Right.
Making sure that they have their credentials and stuff. So if anybody's looking for a job,
You're like, hey, I'm putting it out there for y'all.
But yeah, it's very fulfilling, and before you guys got here today, me and my friend Marcus, we was talking, I'm like, bro, like, I don't see myself stopping with work, even if I make millions, like I just want to keep working. But I could still keep working, like you said, when you're doing something you're passionate about,
Right.
as long as there's meaning behind it.
Exactly.
You know, like what is meaningful to you? You know, and for me now, it's filmmaking.
Yeah. So then, even kind of going back, how like all your family basically got into the military. Was that kind of sprouted from your dad, or what was the meaning? Like, why did everybody want to go to the military?
I would say my dad. You know, growing up, my dad, you know, he always
was he strict in the house since him being in the military?
Very strict. So and it was crazy growing up in a household with, you know, two strict cultures. So my mom, being Filipina, was very strict. You know, like respect was everything in the family. You know, like the whole talk back thing. You know, that
it's not happening.
It never happened. Like to this day, like, you know, she's like, I'll kick you guys ass. You know? And she's in her 60s. Right? You know, and my dad was very strict. Like, you know, my dad was just very strict growing up. You know, we address him as sir, you know, like very military type, you know, of upbringing.
How you feel about doing that?
I'm grateful, you know, because, you know, it kind of like instilled respect for him. My dad and I are actually best friends. Like, you know, that's like, you know, my G, my dad, you know. So I'm very close to my father, you know, talk to him about anything, you know, and very supportive, you know, of my dreams. And we would go back and, you know, talk about how, you know, grateful he was, you know, that, you know, how he raised us, you know, with discipline. You know, I feel like how you're raised really affects how you are, like, you know, just in the present. Like, you know, like I would say I have a very tenacious type of personality where I would not allow myself to be without anything. So it kind of like, you know, just being a man in general, you know, like
you always have that drive.
You always have the drive to like want to have something, you know, and I say that because, you know, I have a lot of friends who are artists and I love them. You know, but I noticed that a lot of my artist friends, you know, are not willing to work, you know, a day job. And, you know, that's where I'm separated from them with their thinking. You know, I believe that you have to do what you have to do until you can do what you want and live off of that.
100%.
And being an artist is not easy. But thank God that, you know, being connected to the right people, things that I never knew back then, you know, like how do you get your film out of Amazon and this and that.
Right.
Knowing how that works now and having the people behind me now, like it feels like surreal.
Right. And now, like you said, like before you already knew you wanted to do it. Now you're actually doing it.
Now they're actually doing it. And you know, I would say in my family, the most touching thing that happened was last year. My baby brother and my mother reached out to me and they're like, you know, we remember when you were kids, you know, like you always used to play like film and Oscar nights and this and that. Like, you know, I did. I was only 12, you know, and I would never forget that. And we would have these Oscar nights and stuff. I was like very obsessed with like filmmaking at like a young age.
Right.
I always said I was going to do that when I grow up.
Yeah.
And so my brother was like, I just want to tell you how proud I am because
I remember you saying that.
I remember you saying that and now you're doing it. You know, and so that to me meant a lot.
What even inspires you to want to even be so deep into filmmaking? And you started, like you said, you wanted at a young age.
Having a voice. I would say having a voice because growing up in another country, and this is just, you know, facts. You know, I grew up in another country. I was always considered different.
And how long did you grow up? When did you transfer over?
Like out here, like for good, I was 19.
Oh shit! So you was out there. Okay,
I was out there for a long time. You know, and so growing up out there, it was very difficult.
I'm about to say, like,
especially for being half black.
Right.
You know, I felt
straight up.
I really felt, you know, that like now everybody is like trying to holler at me, like, you know, all of the females that, you know, rejected me before, because I mean, I still kept in shape and, you know, stuff like that. But, you know, back then they don't have nothing to do with me, you know, because I mean, you know, I was the black kid, you know, like, or I was like, you know, they had, you know, names.
So like he's not us.
Yeah. You know, I was never like, I think not belonging anywhere, you know, was what inspired me, because I just wanted to have a voice. I just wanted to tell my story, you know, as a filmmaker. I would say growing up in another country or biracial, it was not easy, bro. It was not easy because I remember my dad having to go to school, like, you call my son the N-word. Well, like, my dad would always get into fights with, like the teachers.
Right.
And
the
kids,
teacher was calling you that.
The students. My dad was
okay.
like, correcting, you got to correct the teachers had to correct the students, and I remember getting to fights because, one cat called my sisters the N-word, and I overheard it. Like just getting to fights at an early age, and having to always have to fight, to be heard and to be acknowledged, that, you're a person and that you're still one of them. It's just that, you're biracial.
You look different.
You look different. You all, like, so growing up, we were always considered different. And the crazy thing is growing up in that type of environment where you're the only kid in your classroom.
Right, because I was even say, like, how many black kids were in your class?
Maybe one or two.
Right.
If even.
And
sometimes
this is in high school as well?
Yeah, in high school.
Damn.
Sometimes it will only be me. Like, I'm talking about for like the whole high school, like I'm talking about like the whole junior, like, the junior classes. Like, let's say there's like 8 classes, like, that are in junior high, like maybe less than 10 black kids, like sometimes I'm the only one in the classroom,
right,
out of 50 students.
Exactly. That's like, exactly, and that's a lot.
So it was very it was, and I believe that God allowed that to happen because it made me a very strong-minded person.
Exactly. And even now with the school system, even thinking, what was the school system? I know it was like rough for you out there.
Yeah.
And now, as far as education goes, what was the school system like out there? And now you over here.
I would say out there, they value intelligence. I could say that. It was a very great school system. I could say that about the Philippines growing up out, and everybody out there, everyone is fluent. Everyone speaks in English. Like I'm talking about, everybody speaks in English out there. Like I'm talking about the Philippines is a very intelligent country. Like, I have to be honest. Like everybody speaks in English. Like even the people who did not go to school speak in English.
You speak Filipino?
I speak Tagalog as well.
So you all the way, like you could
all the way. Like the crazy thing is, I embrace both of my culture.
Of course, you're both.
I'm both.
Do that. Take that.
I love that. And I would go to National City to go to like get some Filipino food. Like at my favorite spot is Goldilocks.
Oh, see, I like Tita's
and Tita's.
Kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh, you see, you already know what we're talking about.
I would go out there, bro, and I speak in Tagalog, and they look at me.
Like, wait, what the hell?
Wait, what? Like, and I've actually made so many friends out there, and I noticed the difference, right?
Can I just hear you say something in Tagalog?
Magandang gabi, meaning good evening.
Wait, say, I'm going to try it. What did you say?
Maganda means beautiful. Magandang gabi. Magandang gabi. Yes.
Okay. Magandang
gabi. Yes.
Okay. we tried something new.
Man, you got it, man.
Yeah.
But like, I would say I have a lot of friends. So it's just like any other place, you're going to have people that don't like you and people that do. I have friends that, have always seen me as a person and, growing up, and they never really saw me as different. But it was more of the negative growing up than the positive. Now, that's not something that I got in America.
Out in the Philippines, you more so experience a lot of negativity.
And a lot of negativity.
Right.
Growing up, not the present moment, no.
Right.
Out there, I would say the culture changed.
It's more accepted.
It's more accepted, and maybe because of the accomplishments of, I would say, since like we have Obama becoming the president, so it started affecting all of us out there as well. I know a lot of Black families that actually live in the Philippines now,
right?
Or other like Black men that moved out there and married Filipino women,
right?
And they no longer face the same issues. They still do, but I think
it's not as tough.
It's not as tough, But back then, this is like, I was born in the 80s, so this is like back in like the 80s, 90s. It was hard because we were also the Philippines was under the United States, I think, like government at the time, or we had bases out there, and so a lot of the locals, I think, or a lot of the people at the time, got that from, the whites,
Mhm.
treating, the blacks really bad.
Right.
So they saw that, and I
Like,
guess,
oh, that's what we're supposed to do.
yeah, I would not say everybody.
Right,
I
of
would say
course.
majority though.
Mhm.
Majority, or a
The
majority.
majority is a lot.
Majority is a lot,
Yeah.
or like you always got made fun of because you're darker,
Mhm.
and everybody was light, but I learned how to embrace myself even at a young age, to not want to even change. Like it was like
This is me.
this is me. I loved it. I loved it. I loved who I was,
Mhm.
and as much as I feel like the opportunities to be broken down, was presented to me and my siblings, like
Mhm.
we never faltered, like, and even that, I don't even blame the people. Like I'm not one of those people
It was
like
ignorance.
walking around mad. No, why
Right.
would I get mad at everybody? No,
Right.
So it made me more compassionate towards other people.
Mhm.
Made me understand. It kind of like made me like want to dive into the human psyche.
Like, why do you think this? Basically, like
Yeah.
that's what you like.
Yeah, like, why
what
do you
made
think
you
that?
even
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, so it
that
made
this
me
was
more
this?
compassionate as a person, because it's like, it made me like, like I said, it just changed me for the better.
Mhm.
And I wasn't going around, treating people bad, like, oh, I'm bad. No,
Mhm.
it made me like just become more understanding of why people from different cultures act the way that they do.
Right.
Like why do some people, I would say some, because I have a lot of Filipino friends that have always like just been there for me too.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say everybody.
Right.
Now, like I said, in America, I never experienced it.
Mhm.
From
There's
like
a lot of
on
mixed people out
yeah,
in America
and
anyway.
also like on my dad's side. So from both my parents' side, right, like Filipino black side.
Right.
So I never got the negativity from my
Family.
father's side.
Mhm.
I haven't.
Exactly.
Like I was never different.
Like, oh, this is my nephew, this is
yeah,
my cousin, or whatever.
if anything, they would joke around a lot. Oh,
Mhm.
that's my Chinese cousin.
Yeah.
But it was
you knew
all
it was
for
love.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
for humor.
Mhm.
Or they would always like show like like you're not separate from us. You're not
Mhm.
different. You're
You one of us.
you're one of us. And so it just, I feel like the belongingness, like, is what made me want to pursue filmmaking.
Mhm.
Because I feel like you're in a gray area. Like I
Mhm.
always felt like I was in a gray area growing up.
Yeah.
Now, no, I'm very secured. But
Yeah.
it was one of like the hardest like parts of my life.
Times of your life.
Times
Out
of
there in the
especially times of my
Philippines.
life. Yeah, like I'm not gonna front. Like it was the hardest. Because like you were different.
So with that being the hardest, what got you through it?
I would say what got me through it is the fact that I knew that my life was going to be better when I grew up.
Mhm.
But like when I was like in high school, like I always knew that my life was going to be better.
Even with people telling you,
Yeah.
putting you down all the time.
I always knew that my life was going to be better. Like it's like I knew. It was so weird to say that, but I always knew.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, and I was talking to a friend of mine about the law of attraction. I believe in that.
Oh man, 100%.
I believe in that because
Yeah.
I remember before growing up, I would always be like, I would go to this country, I would go to that country, I've been to 24 countries, and I got there for free. I was in the military,
Right.
traveling all the time.
Exactly.
It came to the point of traveling all the time that I actually was, I
Tired of it.
got tired of it. It came to the point too of like no longer excited.
Mhm.
Because like, oh God, I'm gonna,
Damn,
God,
I gotta
no.
get up early for this flight.
But then there were times that I would look back and I'm like, wow, I did say that I was gonna do this when I
Yeah.
grow up. And just like lately, and even with getting my job, I knew that I got the job before I got it.
Mhm.
And I still have a bunch of interviews lined
Because
up.
you attracted that.
I attracted it. And how I attracted it is, I always tell myself, only think about what you want.
Mhm.
I'm talking about like even when I'm not looking at the results yet, even when I don't see it in front of me. That's what I used to do growing up. Even when I was like just around negativity, I always had to remind myself to think about what I wanted.
Mhm.
Do not even to like, I never even like paid attention to the things around me at the time.
Mhm.
So I even tell myself that now, like when I'm kind of like feeling some type of way or going through just something, in life, I would like think about what you want. And I would
And
have
get
that
you back on
self-talk.
track.
It get me back on track.
Mhm.
It kind of like it recalibrates my mind all the time to think about what I want.
Mhm. Then with that even being said, like you thought about what you want. what brought you to like making your first actual film?
Oh, thank God for that question. So in 2019, so first, like I want to like rewind back
No, go ahead.
to 2015. You know, I got out the military 2014, and at the time I said, you know, I really want to get into the film industry.
Mhm.
I really originally wanted to be an actor.
Right.
I didn't want to be a filmmaker at the time.
Right.
Who wants to be? I want to be in front of the camera, you
Right.
know. And so I had an email from the New York Film Academy in LA, you know, to check out the school, the campus. So I went out there, checked out the campus, but you know, I was very scared, you know, to move to LA for some reason. You know, like San Diego was my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it out here. I just got out the military, and I'm like, you know, like I really want to move to LA.
Yeah.
You know, like I was not yet a risk taker at the time, you know, so I wanted to play it safe. So there was an opportunity for this project called Pitch. It was being directed by Lee Daniels.
Oh, damn.
Right? And that was my first opportunity.
2015.
2015. 2015. And I lived downtown, like literally like on 7th Avenue, like right by Petco Park.
Mhm.
That's where we were shooting at. And so that was my first time on the film set.
And they were shooting this out here in San Diego.
Yeah, they were shooting out
Okay.
in San Diego. That was my first time in the film set, bro.
Mhm.
Like first time in the film set. And at first I was excited until the cameras were rolling, until we were there.
You was nervous?
No, we all I did was I was an extra, just clapping,
Right.
you know, like, you know,
Yeah.
but I was taking it so seriously. I'm like, you know,
Right.
I just want to
Like,
be the great clapper
right.
so that they could
They were
like,
on the best goddamn clapper in the
the
room.
best clapper in the room, you
Yeah.
know? And so just watching everybody, like all the actors and stuff. But then I'm like, what the hell? Like this, like over and over and over and over and over and over again. The takes, you know, we were there for like 12 hours, man.
It's like, how long you want us to be clapping?
And
My goddamn hands
and I
hurt.
did not know before that's how filmmaking was.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm like, oh my goodness, is this what filmmaking
They
is?
need the best take.
Yeah, like, and I was like, I'm not doing this ever again. So from 2015, I said, I'm not doing this again. You know, I'm not doing this extra stuff again. You know, and so I made a promise to myself, I'm not doing that again. But I was still going to acting classes out here in San Diego. I was going to Robert Wald Actor Studio. I still wanted to be an actor, but I just said, I'm not going to the route of what I did. You know, like, you know, you know, at the time, I think that was like, I just felt like I was not a human on set. You know, like I was just like
I feel like an extra.
Yeah, you know, like
I was just somebody in the crowd.
Yeah, you know, I wanted to be one of those actors swinging the bats and stuff. So anyway, what happened was in 2019, this is way before the pandemic. Like, no, not way before, like a month before. So I went on the San Diego actors page. It's so crazy because I didn't even know that there was an acting community in San Diego.
Because I still don't.
I did not know.
Yeah.
You know, at the time, I'm like, I just want to be an actor so bad, but my goodness, what do I do? Where do I go? You know.
Right.
And so I found this group on Facebook called San Diego Actors. You know, I posted a casting call and I was going to shoot this film, a short film. You know, the title is Subtle Betrayal. I was just laughing because the title is so corny.
And you had like all the film equipment and everything?
Yeah, no, my homeboy who was you know, just a videographer,
right?
You know, he wanted to do film. At the time, I didn't even know what to do. Bro, I didn't know what to do.
And what was the name of that film again?
Subtle Betrayal.
Okay.
It's on IMDb. Like, it was just whack, you know. But I had to do what I had to do, you know. And so in 2000, and I felt like a badass. Like, I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, I'm going to be filming this film. We were done after like 2 hours. It was just in a cafe, the Portal Coffee. I'll never forget that. At the harbor. And so I shot that film. And then a month later, I hosted a film event. You know, I hosted a cafe social. Like, I posted it on the San Diego Actors page again. Well, to my surprise, like 30 people showed up.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, you know, coming up to me as if I was some sort of like a producer.
Yeah. Because you set the event up.
Yeah, but I only did that because I really wanted to meet people in the industry.
Yeah.
And so it took off from there. Next thing you know, like, everybody from the film community now knows me. You know, at the time, I was so new to it. I kept telling them, I've only been in this industry for less than a year, like maybe 4 months at the time, 3 months. It's like everybody was contacting me. Hey, Clark, what role did they have? Like, blah, blah. So I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, I really just wanted to be an actor. I really did. You know, I only hosted a cafe social because I just wanted to get to know people. I did not expect it to blow up to the point that everybody was contacting me.
Exactly.
And then I remember I said I was not going to do extra no more. Now I got a filmmaker that contacted me. Hey, Clark, you know, like, everybody in this film community is talking about you. I have a film I'm filming. It's a feature film, and his name is Daniel Florenzano. I love this film director.
Mm-hmm.
Just reached out to me and gave me a role for a
And this is
feature.
for you
A
doing
feature,
that.
a
Right.
feature film. I'm like, it's my first feature and my first and only feature. And I said, I'm gonna be a director. And that's when I realized on the set of that film that that's my calling, was to be a filmmaker. You know,
What made you go left? Because you were always wanting the actor role.
I wanted
and
to
you
always
got
be
it.
an actor, you know, and I got it already, right?
Mhm.
But at the time, I was doing both.
Mhm.
You know, I was doing both, and I fell in love with the technicalities of filmmaking. It's so weird because when I went to the New York Film Academy, I remember the student counselor was telling me, "Oh, you should be a filmmaker. You should try filmmaking." I'm like, "No, I'm an actor. I want to look good. You know, like I'm not trying to like do nothing with the technical side, you know, of things like the camera, this and that. No, I hated technicalities. I like to just, you know, look good, you know."
Right.
But then, you know, fast forward like 2019, 2020, during the pandemic, like things just started, like my obsession with like filmmaking just started. Like it was weird. Like it just happened out of nowhere. You know, like I started falling in love with the camera. How does it work? Like, you know, all these angles and movements and this and that. And so I developed that love for it, you know, like to the point that a lot of my friends, and I love all of my friends, but a lot of my filmmaker friends from film school literally thought I went to film school. And I would tell them, no, I learned from YouTube.
Right.
I did. I learned from YouTube.
YouTube would tell you everything.
They did. You know, I learned from YouTube, bro. And I'm talking about people was coming up to me like, bro, how do you know this? How do you know that? Like, you know, like I'm talking about my filmmaker friends that go to film school in LA, you know, or I would have people on set, you know, I'm talking about people who's been around longer in this industry, you know, than me. You know, I've only been here for 3 years in this industry. I would come up to me like after filming, "Hey Clark, I just want to tell you like you're the best director I've worked with. I've been working in LA in a lot of like this and that." And it feels so good. You know, and I actually not almost, but I developed a reputation for being a difficult director. I thought I was very difficult. I did, bro. Like,
what
to
was
the point
difficult
that
about you?
They said I was very demanding, or firm.
What you mean?
I was mean, but I became a nice director eventually. You know,
when you first started out?
Yeah, when I first started out, I was very tyrannical. I'm not gonna lie, you know, because I was obsessed with shots, and
so you wanted the perfect.
Yeah, I wanted it perfect. And you know, I remember we were filming. We were on set for this series called In a Bag. It was an action series. I had a filmmaker, Callie Jones. I love him. You know, he's a producer and an actor, local producer and actor. He reached out to me, "Hey Clark, I need help getting my project, you know, like off the ground. I had the script for like a while now. I need to get it off the ground." And so I came on board as director. You know, at the time, you know, I said, you know, like I need, you know, a down payment, you know, $250. I felt like a badass too. I like
something,
yeah. You know, and so he paid me, you know, like my rate at the time I was charging $250 a day as a director. And we were on set, and it was an action
low.
Film. That is very low.
Okay.
You know, especially, you know, but I did not know, you know, I just, you know, felt like, damn, I'm getting paid now.
Right.
You know, like $250.
Exactly.
Like I'm getting paid now as a director, you know. And we were like shooting a lot of action, you know, stuff, you know. We were doing takes after takes to the point that somebody said, "Clark, you know, you gotta stop, you know, like, you know, when is it gonna be over?" You know? But I became obsessed with perfection as a filmmaker. You know,
you think that probably came from how strict your parents was, and
that
how they
too
kept you in line.
That, and I would say also, when I was in the military, I've always been one of those performers, you know, and so I always got awards after awards after awards.
Oh, word.
Yes, you know, like Navy Achievement Medal. I had like 6, you know, like.
And what is that exactly?
The Navy Achievement Medal, like they give it to you when you're like one of those high performers, you know, like, you know, I remember I got it after being only on board the ship for 3 months. And usually,
God damn,
I'm for real. Like everybody was like, "Oh, you know, like he kissed someone's ass. That's why he got that." You know? But no, I was a hard worker. It came to the point when I was in the Navy, I remember they would be like, "Are you going home? Like, are you going home?" So the thing with me is when I'm working, I tend to whatever I'm doing. It could be working out, whatever I'm doing. I tend to get obsessed over
Pour
what
your
I'm
life
doing.
into it.
Yeah, I get obsessed.
Mhm.
I'm like that with projects. With film projects. And in 1 year, I directed 9 projects. And I felt like, wow. And I just told Marcus, my friend Marcus, when we were having this conversation before the podcast, I said, bro, like, in 1 year I directed 9 projects.
Mhm.
Like, 2022, I said, let me take a step back a little
let
bit.
me
But I'm
chill a
still
little bit.
working. I was,
Right.
hired to direct a feature film at the time, called Resellers.
Mhm.
Good luck to Resellers team. I know they already wrapped their film, but I had to step down as director because I had other stuff going on.
Mhm.
But it was a great crew. I have nothing but amazing things to say about the cast and the crew of Resellers. And good luck. I can't wait to see that film. I think the director is director Kevin Gray, so he ended up, taking over the project. So he's an amazing filmmaker as well. And I was doing that project in 2022, 23. I'm currently producing right now for another film called Twisted. It's by filmmaker, an award-winning filmmaker, local, George Jack. He's a very established filmmaker, a SAG actor.
And he's here, and he's from San Diego.
Yes, he's a San Diego-based filmmaker. So
I'm gonna definitely have to tap in with you further.
Yeah.
San Diego acting
the San Diego
community
acting
and stuff like
community.
definitely
It's
100%.
pretty big.
Okay, good.
To the point that we have a lot of LA folks coming down here to work. I
Mhm.
work with a lot of LA actors. They would come down here to work because San Diego filmmakers are really hungry.
Mhm.
They want to make it. And I could say that that's the difference. In LA, I have a lot of LA friends and I love them, but a
Mhm.
lot of them are more. I would say they're like more. They're more into that
Hype.
It's just like when people think that they're moving to LA, everybody's like, oh yeah, like I'm moving to LA, so I'm the best.
I'm gonna
It's
make
not
it.
true. Yeah. We work with a lot of LA actors in San Diego. They would drive down here. They would audition from LA just to come out here because it's
Right.
so hard to get a role up there.
Yeah.
And so
Because everybody's going up there to do
everybody's going up there to do it, and I say that to say that to the audience, it doesn't matter where you're at, like if you would like to become a successful actor or filmmaker, you just be where you're at and do it.
Mhm.
You don't have to move to LA. I only go to LA because a lot of my filmmaker friends are out there.
Right.
I mean, I'm talking about, I have Emmy award-winning friends that I take advice from.
Mhm.
People that I probably would have,
Like mentorship.
yeah, like mentorship, or people that I would have not even thought that I would have met before
Without doing this.
because it was crazy. I told you, things happened so fast for me. Like people always ask me, Clark, how did you do it? Like, how were you able to establish yourself in this industry when you just started? Like, how did I said, I don't know. My answer is, I don't know. Maybe because I thought about it,
Mhm.
and I always say that maybe because I thought about it. Like a lot of people think that it came easy for me. It didn't. Like I actually was confused. I didn't know where to start.
Yeah.
But now in the local film community, it feels good to be somewhere and that everybody knows you, or people like, oh my God, like they would approach you.
Yeah.
But the backdrop to that, is I was telling my friend, I'm a very, very reclusive person. I'm very reclusive, and I'm social at the same time. But I would rather not be around a lot of people.
Right.
I'm an artist.
Right.
Like I'm not a cloud chaser. There's a difference.
Mhm.
I said I'm an artist, so I need my energy.
Right.
I can't be around people like that
All the time.
All the time. So on set, I became notorious on set for. So when the cameras were rolling, I'm out there.
Right.
But then I would always when it's cut and we're setting up for the next scene, I would always go to the back and I'm like, get me when you guys are done.
Mhm.
I'm just by myself. I'm in the back.
That's when you then you
Yeah.
kind of get yourself back together.
I'm just getting back myself together because it's like when you're on set, you're around a lot of people.
Mhm.
And it's not me being
Putting on a mask, right.
antisocial.
Mhm.
It's just I need my space.
Yeah.
Like I learned to draw boundaries because on set, as a director, you do have to be strict.
Mhm.
The set is like the military almost, right? If there's no order or structure,
They're gonna run
they're gonna run you over. You're not gonna get nothing done. And as a director, you're like the captain of the ship. You know, the producers, the executive producers. I'm producing right now. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of types of producers. Right now, I'm a logistic producer. I'm not even an artistic producer.
And what is logistic producer?
So a logistic producer is the producer responsible for gathering the materials for the film, locations, whatever they need. You know?
Right.
But recently, I got tasked to direct the 2 marketing materials for this film that we just wrapped. It's a feature film, Twisted. So we already have.
And it's Twisted. Is that a horror film?
Twisted is more of a psychological thriller. A psychological thriller.
Okay, so like
yeah.
Suspense.
Yeah. And I would say that our audience for that are people who's dealing with PTSD. It has a lot to do with mental health. So Twisted is more of like a psychological thriller. You know, we want to like reach out and kind of like talk about the topics of, you know, dementia and, you know, the topics of, you know, amnesia, you know, all of that kind of stuff, you know, mental health issues, PTSD.
Did you have to deal with PTSD?
Yes, all the time, every day.
Every day still?
Every day still. So I remember, I was going to tell you earlier what happened was before I accepted the job offer to work for the healthcare you know, recruiter position, I was offered a job to go to Iraq, to Baghdad. Back. When I tell you that I had flashbacks, bro, I had flashbacks. Like, I'm not, you know, and I feel it in my body, like, you know, and I still have dreams. But thank God for the VA, because, you know, they're giving me the medicine that I need.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm able to manage it, you know. And I would say that my being reclusive, or, you know, my wanting to like have space also comes from that, you know, because, you know, I would say like the stuff that I have dealt with, you know, like especially in Afghanistan, really took a lot of toll on me, you know. But like I believe everything still comes out, you know, useful in life. You know, I just became more artistic.
So you learn how to deal with that.
I dealt with it
positive manner.
In a positive manner, man. Like, you know, it just became more artistic. Writing, I love writing. You know, as a filmmaker, I would say my favorite part is, I love being on set. I'm a camera guy. I love the camera. Like, you know, I'm just so obsessed with what the camera could do. But I love the writing part. You know, I remember a producer gave me a script one time, like, "Hey Clark, you know, the script is done. You know, I need you to go ahead and read it and tell me what you think."
And you have to read the whole thing?
Yeah, like I'm talking about like 100 pages, like, you know.
Damn.
And then when you get it, you know, as a director, you know, you go over the script. But when you read it, I try to be detached, you know, like, cause so the tendency for a director is when you're reading it, your mind is already going into the set and, you know, like what you're doing, like, you know, the camera. But I learned as a director, you got to be detached. You just read it like a goddamn book. Don't even think that you're the director. Just read it.
Don't have any personal
attachments to it. No, just read it, you know. And I think I learned how to do that eventually, but it was hard at first. Yeah. You know, because I was like, I'm directing this, so I'm already thinking like, you know, logistics. Who am I going to cast? Like, what actors am I going to reach out to? Stuff like that. Now, I would say for when I get a script, you know, I'm very strict on formatting. Like, if I get like a script that's not formatted properly, I just stop reading it. And I stop reading it and I give it back. I said, this is not a screenplay. Like, don't give me something that's not a screenplay. I'm like, give it to me when it's fixed. You know? So myself and a producer I used to work with, I love this guy a lot, but we are no longer working together because, you know, we realized that we clash. You know, he thinks I'm a very demanding director, which is my right. You know, if I'm going to put my name on a project, I have to be, you know,
because you want it done a certain way.
Because I want it to be done well, and this is the reason why now I'm only working on one project that I'm writing on, entitled "Love Letter." You know, what inspired me is the film Moonlight. So Moonlight won the Best Picture Oscar, I believe, in 2019, one of those like years, you know, and it inspired me to write something that is very something that is very intriguing is the word I'm looking for, you know, without showing too much, you know. So I am passionate about black and white, the black and white films, right? So I realized as a director why I was working on a lot of projects at the time, because I was looking for my voice, like within this industry, what what film, what style of directing am I going to follow? And I say that because like when you watch a Tarantino film, you know that he shot that. You know that that's a Tarantino film because he
Right.
has a signature style of filmmaking, right?
Mhm.
So I just recently found out that as a filmmaker, I want to be known for one thing. So from now on, all of my films are just gonna get shot in black and white.
Mhm.
And there's a reason for that, because black and white, in my opinion, it has something to do with the gray area of the human mind, psyche. The gray area of our psyche is our memory. So a lot of my films will be about a lot to do with reflection and memories of what could be, instead of having like those happy endings and
Right.
stuff. And I just want to like have a different approach to filmmaking and take it more seriously now. And so that's why I'm only taking my time writing, perfecting my script. I won't say perfecting my script, writing a great script, because the script is the foundation of films. If you don't have a good script, you're not going to have a great film.
Right.
And so I want to work on a great script that has a meaning behind it, not just anything. Like, it's so tempting as a filmmaker to just write all the time, to say that you're working.
Right.
And I realized that after directing 9 projects in 1 year, that I want to be a better filmmaker to the point that I'm only working on quality projects that will go somewhere, that has a meaning behind it.
Right.
That's actually like can touch lives. That could
inspire.
That could inspire. That could maybe like have people make decisions or help people make decisions.
Exactly.
So I want to write more meaningful films, and take my time. And in this industry, it's an industry where you feel like you're not doing nothing because you're not posting about it.
Right. But you can work in silence.
I kind of like took a step back from that. I took a step back to like, you know what? I'm going to post things that when it's done. I'm not talking about none of my projects right now on social media, except for Twisted, because it's done.
It's done.
It's done.
Exactly.
And that's not even my project. I'm producing it. I'm not directing it. But anything that I'm directing right now is on the hush because I don't want people to put their bad energies on it.
Right.
So nobody even know what I'm
what
working
you're doing
on right now. Because I also made my mind up that I will only work on quality. And I want to take my time. I'm not here racing with nobody.
Right.
Kind of like being on my own lane right now. And
you're your biggest competitor.
I'm my biggest competitor.
Competition.
I'm my biggest competition, and I just want to outdo myself.
Exactly.
I have inspirations. My inspirations. I'm not trying to outdo them. That's why they're my inspirations. I look up to them, like Ava DuVernay. I love Ava DuVernay is one of my favorite filmmakers. She was so close to giving up. She was talking about her story. She was a publicist on set, and she saw the director, and she was like, you know what, I can do that. And it inspired her to become a film director. And she was talking about how it was so hard for her to find funding for her short film, and she was so close to giving up, but she could not. I mean, that's her calling,
right.
Directing. So she did everything in her power to make that film happen. And, she ended up, I think, getting into Sundance or one of those big festivals. And now she's one of the major film directors in Hollywood.
Damn.
She directed the Central Park 5, I believe,
Central Park.
About the 5 kids from Central Park.
That
was Ava DuVernay.
I like that movie.
That was her. Her.
Is that
film.
on Netflix?
Yes, I believe.
Yeah,
it's on Netflix.
That's where I think I seen it. That was a good movie.
I forgot the title of it. Is it This Is Us? Something like that.
Something like.
Yeah.
I don't think it was This Is Us.
I
know what you're talking about.
But the Central Park 5, yeah.
With those 5 kids.
Yes, with the 5 kids.
Yeah.
And so just studying filmmakers like her, John Singleton,
right.
Watching films from the 90s, it's just very inspiring to me. And that's the type of filmmakers that I want to become. Those filmmakers are what I want to become. And I can't become them if I'm not being patient.
Right.
I can't become them if I'm not writing a great script, or, if I'm rushing or competing with everybody.
Right.
And so right now, people always say, oh my God, Clark, I have friends reaching out to me. I'm talking about concerned actors and filmmaker friends reaching out to me. Clark, what is going on with you? You're wild. This has always been me, before the filmmaking, thing.
And what they mean, you wild?
That's the thing. They see me posting my workouts and stuff. I'm a very down to earth guy. Okay. And so a lot of people are not used to that, because when they met me in the industry, I was just this everybody, like I was this like guy
By the
that
book.
by the book, everybody's like looking at me. I'm just like this very like well put together guy.
Mhm.
But there came a point where I got fed up with that.
Mhm.
I'm like, this is not me.
I'm tired of this persona.
Yeah, like I got tiring. I'm like, I'm gonna be me at the end of the day. I'm a very like happy-go-lucky type of guy. I like working out, I like doing this and that. Sometimes being shirtless, crap, I like that. That was never me before.
Right.
And so a lot of people that met me before and seeing me now, they're like, man, like you're a total different guy. I'm like, no, it's just you guys never saw that side of me.
Right.
It's
you
just
saw me at work. Basically.
Yeah, you saw me at work. And so I had to learn how to separate my personal life from my professional life. When I'm on set, I'm the director. That's what they're gonna get.
That's my professional life.
When I'm done working on set, I'm no longer Clark Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be Darwin.
Mm-hmm.
And Darwin likes to work out, have friends outside the industry.
Right.
I'm not the type of guy that's just going to be snooty 24/7.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a time and place for everything. Like I told a friend of mine, in this industry, and I don't like when people say you need to have a certain amount of arrogance. I won't even say arrogance. You need to have a certain amount of you need to have self-confidence. Because if you have self-confidence, you don't need arrogance. What's the need for arrogance if you have self-confidence?
Exactly.
Right? And so I'm like, you just need to know who you are, and then when you're done, like, screw what other people got to say about you, like, who you are, you're an artist. You shouldn't be caring about what people think after you're done. I'm not on the red carpet all the time. So right. I'm not going to act like it all the time. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. I'm going to be me.
I'm going to be me. Like a lot of them were not used to, and I moved here, I'm from Virginia. So a lot of people are not used to seeing the side of me that's just different from what they expect.
Right.
Like the industry, quote unquote, standard of what a director is be like, fuck that.
Exactly. That's not me.
That's not me, So I learned, like I'm always going to be this down to earth guy, and I'm an artist. When I'm on set, I'm going to be me. I'm going to be that. I'm on set. I'm a professional.
Yeah.
But when I'm done on set, I'm going back to my original life. To who I am. It's not going to change just because. I'm not the type of guy too who has all of these actor and filmmaker friends. Do I have some? Yeah. But I don't have a lot of friends in this business because it's rare to find genuine people that you would become friends with. It's very transactional, and I know because from experience, like some of my quote unquote friends only reach out to me when they're asking about roles.
Exactly. So when they're looking for something, that's when, hey man, what's going on? How you been?
Yo, what?
I actually got this going on. I was
going
to reach out, but
Yeah, exactly. And so I think within my first 4 months, so I fell into a depression in 2020 after 4 months when I got into the industry. At first, it was all fun. It was fun, fire. I was always hosting like filmmaker brunch. So a lot of filmmakers, actors would come to the crib. I would be cooking. And, it was just like, but I started seeing a lot of people for who they are, like a lot of people are very egotistical. Or a lot of people, like I said, transactional. So I fell into this place of like, wow, do I really want to do this? Is this like, the type
is this
of...
who I want to surround my people
is this like the type of business I want to... But my answer is yes. I'm not, because I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me. And I realized I had to go back and realize the reason anyway why I was doing this. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine just this week. I'm like, I'm not doing this for fame. I'm doing this because I need to tell my story. You know what I mean? Like everything else just comes with it. Like I called my friend today from Detroit. He's a DJ. He's one of the big time DJs in Detroit. Called him today. So a lot of my friends in this industry are the rappers and the DJs because they're so down to earth and they just don't really, they reach out to me. Hey Clark, like I have a music video idea, but it's like so down to earth. I could talk to them. Like the musical artists are so down to earth.
Yeah.
So I always surround myself. And in the industry, like when I'm talking about entertainment, it's everybody. The podcast, folks, the musical folks, the fashion designers.
Right.
It's like, it's a very small industry. And even the entrepreneurs, because we always have to work with them. An entrepreneur could let you shoot in their freaking restaurant.
Exactly.
And you work with them and, you work with them and market their place. I've worked with fashion designers on their fashion films. So it's like, and you need them for wardrobe, Like everybody like knows
There's a place
everybody.
for
It's,
somebody
it came
and
to the point too at one point, and I posted it on my Instagram. Like, oh my God, like I will never deal with nobody in this industry. And when I said this industry, I posted, I said, I'm talking about music, fashion, everybody. Because it's like, it's so small that we all know the same people. It's so crazy. Like, I contacted one of my friends. How did you know that? How did you know that director? Like, and he was like, how did you know that director? I'm like, he's a filmmaker. Of course I know him.
Yeah.
So it's like so small that you have to be private.
Right.
You only need, like, you got to be a private person. Like, you need to always have that wall, and I realized that before. I did not believe that before. I was like, like, oh, like they're just exaggerating, until I started, experiencing that, like being at the hookah lounge at Mina with a friend of mine and just smoking, and somebody approaching you, hey Clark, like, just approaching you. I kind of like, I told I have anxiety, and I'm like,
I don't know who this person is.
like I felt bad because this person was like telling me, oh my God, I've been following you since you started. Like, I was like, wait, do I know you? And I had to say that. I felt so bad because I didn't really want to like disappoint anybody. At first it was, like, I'm like, oh my God, like where did this person know me from? Or you start like asking yourself, like, God, how did this person know me?
Exactly.
Or I would be at the gym. And working out. One time I was leaving, like this guy came up, hey Clark, man, we got to collab, bro. Like
what collab on what?
And then he was like, oh, I'm also a film director. So it's like a very small industry, and everybody tend to know everybody. And you would just have people reaching out to you, like designers. Hey, could you work on a fashion film? This and that. We got to collab.
You're trying to they pulling you every which way.
Yeah, you get pulled. That's why I said like having a boundary in this industry is very important.
Definitely. Earlier, you kind of touched on you trying to find your voice when you was a kid, and then you kind of said like how you trying to find your voice in the film industry. At this point, do you feel like you found your voice?
I feel like I did. This is the reason why I'm laser focused on just being a director. I'm known now for being a director. I didn't want to be known for being everything. Like, I know a lot of people like, they're everything. I acted? Yeah, I still do. Like when I'm bored, like I'd work with filmmaker friends, but only for fun. They would reach out to me. Hey Clark, I have a project. I think you'd be great in it. Short film.
Right.
I'm like, okay, cool, I'll do it. But I'm not here calling myself an actor.
Right.
I'm a director. Like I'll do it for fun. Because I went to acting school.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's good to do something different. But yeah, I did. I found my voice within the industry as a director. And it feels good, because, you're known for that one thing, I'm still trying to find now, I won't say find my voice. I already did within the industry, but now when you're in the industry now as a director,
right
now what you want to do now is like tell your story, like, what type of story are you going to tell? Like, is it going to be meaningful? Because you could be known as a director, but what type of director?
Exactly.
And so I don't want to be just known as a director that shoots any crappy film, or
of course not.
Film with no meaning. I know a lot of people who are motivated by money. I mean, I am, but when it's my art involved, my motivation is more like what I'm telling to my audience. I have a lot of filmmakers that would always think about the returns. I mean, it's a business anyway. This is, I tell people all the time, it's the entertainment business. So yeah, you do have to be very business minded. When you're talking about returns, this and that, talking to like, other filmmaker friends about, hey, like who should we cast? Because if we cast this actor, maybe we could have enough people that would support the film, because
right.
they have enough following, or,
exactly.
Like they're this and that. But then now I'm like, asking myself, is that how I really want to keep doing it? To only cast somebody because of that. What about I cast someone because they're good at what they do?
Got talent.
Yeah, they have talent, and then they're gonna get the opportunity eventually anyway.
Right.
They're gonna blow up.
They were
eventually.
able to showcase that talent.
Exactly. all they have to do is get a film into Sundance, and next thing you know, they blow up. Nobody knew Michael B. Jordan back then. Until Fruitvale.
I knew him in Hardball.
On Hardball, but I feel like they blew up,
100%.
And so it takes time, and so when people, I would say I learned to give people opportunity. That's it. That's what I'm talking about. Like give people opportunity. Maybe they may not have 100 million followers right now. You know, like
give them
an opportunity, and then like you don't know how you could change people's lives, and in the process of changing their lives, your life may change. You know, because in this industry, and I always say everybody will eventually make it if they stick to it.
Consistent.
But who makes it first? It's just a matter of timing.
Exactly.
That actor may make it first before that director, and the actor will remember, hey, that director gave me an opportunity.
Put their hand back out and
exactly, and that's how this industry works. You know, people will always remember the kindness that you've done for them, and that's just the reality of it. People always remember. You know, they remember who treated them badly. You know, they will always remember, because you cannot go around being like, oh, you're only a PA on set. That PA may eventually end up being the executive producer.
Right. And now you're looking to get on that set.
Now you're looking to get on that set. Like now nobody's going to give you an opportunity, you know? And so being in this industry for 3 years and having been able to establish myself within those 3 years, I have learned so much,
right? You
know, like life-changing stuff, by the way, you know, on how to just treat people, but at the same time still be firm as a director.
You have that empathy.
You still have to have that empathy, but you also need to also give people the opportunity to work. You know, you got to give people the opportunity to prove themselves. You can't just, you know, cast people because of their following.
Right.
You know, people will always remember what we do, not what we say. You know, because you know, people can say anything and everything. Like you only remember what they did. You know what I mean? So,
how'd you go from Darwin to Clark?
Okay, so the history behind that, like, so growing up, I love classic films. Like, I'm talking about the black and white films. So one of my favorite actors was Clark Gable. You know, he was, you know, like a leading actor back in like the early Hollywood days, in like the 1920s, 30s. You know? And so I love him as an actor. And Clark Gable was one of the only actors that did not believe in segregation on set.
Oh, wow.
So Hattie McDaniel won her first Oscar because of Gone in the Wind, and they were co-stars. But at the time on set, the black actors were not allowed to go to a certain area because they were black. So Clark Gable protested and was like, I'm not coming on set if you guys do this. So, you know, I had so much respect because of, you know, him always standing up for, you know, the black actors during that time in the 30s, and, you know, that time of the 30s and 40s where it was so hard. I mean, God, it was so hard, you know, for any black actors to you know, to get the respect that they deserve. So that's where I got the name Clark from. Monroe came from Marilyn Monroe. I love her a lot. You know, when I learned her history. She's a very complex woman. I watched her documentary about her, and I fell in love with it back in 2019. At the time, I wasn't really in touch with who she was, but I learned how she was best friends with Ella Fitzgerald. They didn't want her to play in this jazz bar because she was black, and Marilyn was like, "I will be there every night, you know, if you let her play." So Ella spoke about that, and she was there every night. You know, and Ella talked about how Marilyn gave her the opportunity to become.
And that's like you were speaking of. You gotta give out those opportunities.
To give the opportunities. And she was just very intelligent. There's so much about her that was just very complex as a person. And I studied, and it touched me, you know, because mental health issues, depression and stuff. So I connected, you know, it's like,
on a deeper level.
On a deeper level, because as a kid, she was an orphan. She was bullied. She was, abused. You know, so she was, she had so many foster homes to pass around. You know, like from being that orphan that nobody even knew. She didn't come from money. You know, to having those high hopes that she would one day become a movie star. To this day, 60 years after her death, she's still big.
Right.
People still and she's a legend. That's a household name. But, she's a great actress as well. You know, I watch her films. So watching like all the old films and stuff. So that's where I got my name from Clark Gable and Marilyn Monroe. I got her last name and Clark Gable's name. And I combined it. Yeah. And then I just felt like the name belonged to me. So everybody was like, call me now, hey Clark, like, or like some filmmakers, would talk, oh yeah, hey, have Monroe do it, like stuff like that. So that's where it came from.
For sure. Let people know how they can reach you on your socials, anything you got new coming up, anything like that.
So you guys can reach me on my socials on Instagram under Director Clark Monroe. So it's Director Clark Monroe is my Instagram. We just recently wrapped our film Twisted. It's a psychological thriller. We touch on PTSD. We touch on any and every mental health issue. So we are partnering up with several nonprofits right now, to give back, to the mental health awareness field, and anything else is going on within the mental health problem in our country and in our world. So the title of the film is Twisted, and the Instagram is The Twisted Movie. So go ahead and make sure to follow that as well.
Definitely. And with that being said, it's been another episode of the Big Umbrella Podcast, and it's a wrap.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. I appreciate you, man.
Man, thank you, bro.
Well, let's get some tacos, nigga. Can we really get some tacos? You trying to get some tacos? Let's get some tacos, nigga.